it's too expensive. It's too expensive to leave versus what you would save and the regulations that you wouldn't have to go through and all the bullshit with all the permits and all the. What California does is overregulate everything. They get as much government involved as possible. They suck as much tax money out of you as possible. And then they still leave the place a mess. They still have homeless people everywhere. It's still a disaster. It's still a woke show of virtue signaling at every level of the government. Still. Like no course correction at all. They're going further and further into la la land. And you're like, Jesus Christ, you guys.
The storm in California may have passed, but the heat is still on, especially from Joe Rogan and Mel Gibson. On a recent episode of Rogan's podcast, the two didn't hold back, slamming Governor Gavin Newsom for what they see as a complete failure in leadership. Their message was clear: accountability is long overdue. If you're into unfiltered political takes with no punches pulled, this episode is a must-listen. Hit that subscribe button and dive in.
The whole state is just so poorly managed. It's so frustrating and confusing, and then he gets on TV and pretends like everything's great. Mm-hmm. And California's the best. We have the best state. We have the most amazing economy. And like, you're out of your mind, dude. You've ruined this state. Like, personally ruined it.
Rogan kicked things off by tearing into Governor Gavin Newsom, accusing him of squandering his time in office. In Rogan's view, California should be a beacon, a place that draws in dreamers and doers from all over the country. Instead, he argued, people are fleeing in droves. Rogan himself left the state in 2020, citing an oppressive cancel culture where a single misstep could ruin your life. And that, he said, was just the beginning. He slammed Newsom for turning a once thriving, opportunity-rich economy into a cautionary tale, blaming a mix of poor leadership, reactionary policies, and virtue-signaling politics. According to Rogan, crime is up, homelessness is out of control, businesses are leaving, and taxes are through the roof. In his eyes, Newsom embodies everything that's wrong with modern progressive politics, more concerned with flashy appearances than real solutions, ideology over everyday people. And this isn't a new stance for Rogan. During the pandemic, he was already calling out Newsom's administration for crushing small businesses under a series of disastrous decisions.
No one who is alive today had ever experienced a true pandemic. And I'm hoping that now that this is over, people are going to, recognize that some serious errors were made and not repeat those. That's the best you can get out of it.
So what do you tell those people?
Vote Republican.
Gavin Newsom's mishandling of the pandemic was the tipping point that pushed Joe Rogan to consider aligning with the Republican Party. Why? Because in Rogan's eyes, the Democrats completely dropped the ball. He blasted the endless lockdowns for devastating small businesses, triggering a mental health crisis, and doing little to actually curb the spread of COVID. Schools remained closed for months, robbing countless kids, especially those from disadvantaged backgrounds, of their education, even when data showed minimal transmission risks. As for the strict mask mandates, Rogan dismissed them as political theater masquerading as science. He didn't hold back, accusing the left of silencing dissent, cherry-picking facts, and treating open debate like a punishable offense. To him, Newsom inherited a thriving state and turned it into a disaster, businesses shuttered, lives disrupted, freedoms eroded. But Rogan didn't stop there. He argued the pandemic wasn't just a policy failure, it laid bare the deeper rot in progressive leadership, more control, less common sense. And he's not letting up. Rogan ramped up the criticism again during the recent California wildfires, keeping the heat squarely on Newsom's shoulders.
This guy's like standing in front of all this stuff, and he's got a smile on his face, and he's talking about land use.
The development plan.
Watch this. Play this. I
was just talking to Josh Green, the governor of down in Hawaii, who had some ideas around some land use concerns he has around speculators coming in, buying up properties, and the like. So we're already working with our legal teams to move those things forward, and we'll be presenting those in a matter of days, not just weeks.
With a big smile on his face. Look at the little wiggle he does with his shoulders. Speculator, watch this. Talking to Josh. Look at this. Look at this little wiggle. It's excited about the possibilities of speculators coming in. And he's saying we're move forward. We're going to move forward on that. These people lost their homes.
Now it makes sense why Joe Rogan is urging Californians to vote Republican, because to him, leadership isn't about photo ops or polished speeches. It's about showing up when it matters. Rogan pointed to Arnold Schwarzenegger as someone who, despite his flaws, faced crises head-on. No excuses, no spin, just action. In contrast, Gavin Newsom treated the chaos like a political game. While small businesses collapsed and families struggled, Newsom was caught dining maskless at upscale restaurants, all while enforcing harsh mandates on everyone else, and quietly positioning himself for a presidential run. Instead of showing grit, Rogan says, Newsom chased headlines and let everyday Californians bear the brunt of the fallout. That's why Rogan's frustration resonates. It's not about party lines, it's about demanding real leadership. Leadership that speaks the truth, takes responsibility, and puts people over politics. Californians, he argues, don't need a slick career politician. They need someone who actually cares.
Gavin Newsom talks about California. He's like, I'm very big on California, very bullish on California. California has all this industry. Hey, they're all thinking about moving. The only reason why they don't move is because it's too difficult to move. If it was like every business could instantly pull up roots and replace everything and have everything running in a week at the other place, they'd all be gone.
Joe Rogan didn't pull any punches when it came to Gavin Newsom. He accused the California governor of turning the state into a graveyard for small businesses. In Rogan's view, Newsom's brand of leadership hasn't just hurt entrepreneurs, it's suffocated them. He pointed to Assembly Bill 5 as the beginning of the end, a bureaucratic nightmare that reclassified freelancers and gig workers as employees. The result? Exploding labor costs and legal landmines that crushed small operations. Then came the much-touted $20 an hour minimum wage. It may sound good on paper, but according to Rogan, it drained restaurants, forced layoffs, and sparked a relentless wave of closures. And the hits kept coming. Rogan ripped into Newsom over California's unemployment system, which became a hotbed for fraud under his watch. Now, thanks to that mismanagement, businesses are being hit with payroll tax hikes they never signed up for. To Rogan, Newsom hasn't supported small business owners, he's buried them under red tape, broken policies, and hollow gestures. California, once a symbol of ambition and growth, is now, in Rogan's words, a cautionary tale. And he made it clear, he's far from done talking about it.
Expensive to leave versus what you would save and the regulations that you wouldn't have to go through and all the bull with all the permits and all the. What California does is overregulate everything. They get as much government involved as possible. They suck as much tax money out of you as possible. And then they still leave the place a mess. They still have homeless people everywhere. It's still a fucking disaster. It's still a woke shit show of virtue signaling at every level of the government. Still. Like no course correction at all. They're going further and further into la la land. And you're like, Jesus Christ, you guys.
That's a man who's clearly had enough of Gavin Newsom's leadership, and honestly, can you blame him? With sweeping policies, heavy-handed regulations, and a government more focused on headlines than results, you'd think California would be leading the nation in quality of life. But it's not even in the conversation. Despite being one of the wealthiest states in the country, California is grappling with problems worse than many average states. Homelessness has surged, turning entire blocks in cities like Los Angeles and San Francisco into sprawling tent encampments. Crime is on the rise in urban areas. Businesses are fleeing en masse to states like Texas and Florida, where the environment is far more business-friendly. And the cost of living? It's suffocating the middle class. So what have all these progressive policies actually delivered? According to critics like Rogan, just inflated egos in Sacramento and a state drifting further from the once vibrant California dream. And Rogan's not alone. Actor Mel Gibson has also stepped in, joining the growing chorus calling for Newsom to step down.
Newsom and Karen Bass have already proven their incompetence and poor leadership during the Los Angeles wildfires. Now, as we experience rampant lawlessness and civil unrest, it's never been more clear they're unable to respond effectively and responsibly during calamity. Whether it's sheer incompetence or outright malevolence, the reality is stark. California's in a state of turmoil, and I ask my fellow Angelenos, why are Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass still in office?
Mel Gibson didn't hold back. He went straight for the jugular: vote Gavin Newsom out. And he wasn't just stirring controversy for headlines, he meant every word. The breaking point for Gibson came when Newsom stood by as ICE protests spun out of control. What began as peaceful demonstrations quickly devolved into chaos, looting, smashed storefronts, and neighborhoods left in ruins. While Newsom stayed busy playing political optics, Gibson called him out for prioritizing ideology over responsibility. Instead of stepping up and deploying security to protect lives and property, Newsom aligned himself with the protesters and turned a blind eye when things turned violent. To Gibson, this wasn't just a poor decision, it was flat-out negligence. Californians weren't demanding a crackdown, they just wanted peace, safety, and a leader who had their backs. But in his view, Newsom couldn't even deliver that bare minimum. Rather than taking responsibility and addressing the mess unfolding under his watch, Gibson said Newsom was too busy posturing, daring federal authorities like Tom Homan to come after him, instead of doing his actual job.
Get your hands off these poor people. They're just trying to live their lives, man. Trying to live their lives, paying their taxes, been here 10 years. The fear, the horror. The hell is this guy? Come after me, arrest me, let's just get it over with. Tough guy. You know, I don't give a damn. But I care about my community, I care about this community. The hell are they doing? These guys need to grow up, they need to stop, and we need to push back. And I'm sorry to be so clear, but that kind of bloviating is exhausting. So Tom, arrest me. Let's go.
As if arresting one person could somehow undo the chaos he helped unleash during the ICE protests, it's laughable. Just another staged stunt from Gavin Newsom, carefully crafted to sell the illusion that he's some kind of tough, decisive leader. But once you strip away the photo ops and media flash, you're left with a politician more concerned with optics than actual outcomes. Newsom's response to the protests wasn't leadership, it was desperate damage control. I watched from the sidelines as cities burned, businesses were wrecked, and public trust in government dissolved. And when the backlash finally hit, he didn't take accountability, he flipped the script and played the tough guy. It was textbook hypocrisy. If Newsom genuinely cared, he would have worked with the federal government to address immigration issues legally, humanely, and effectively. He had the opportunity to lead with real reform, securing borders while creating a fair path for immigrants. But that takes courage. And according to his critics, that's exactly what Newsom lacks. Meanwhile, actor Jon Voight didn't hold back either. He had some sharp words of his own for the California governor.
You're a fool, blaming Trump. What are you doing for this destruction of these animals destroying Los Angeles? Are you there, talking calmly with them, you fool? They would burn you down like they're burning the cars and the American flag, with no regard for humanity. This is not about Trump. This is about protecting the people from these animals and criminals trying to destroy us. And our police force, are they supposed to stand there, let rocks hit them and kill them? Who's going to save them? You? You're a disgrace. You're nothing but a lying dog for the hopes of becoming the president one day.
With a track record like this, the idea of Gavin Newsom becoming the Democratic Party's standard-bearer in 2028 borders on absurd. California, a state blessed with immense wealth, innovation, and talent, has stumbled badly under his leadership. If he can't keep a single state from spiraling into economic turmoil, surging homelessness, and rising crime, how can anyone trust him to lead the entire country? Newsom seems more comfortable managing headlines than delivering results. His policies may shine on paper, But in practice, they fall apart. He talks a big game about progress, yet businesses are fleeing, schools are underperforming, and everyday Californians are left picking up the pieces. Real leadership isn't about clever speeches or glowing press, it's about visible, measurable outcomes. So when talk surfaces about Newsom as a future president, it should raise serious concerns. If this is his idea of governance, the nation can't afford to let him replicate it on a larger scale. His tenure has been a masterclass in failed leadership, policies that do more harm than good, optics over impact, and chaos masquerading as reform. From Joe Rogan to Mel Gibson, critics across the spectrum aren't buying it. If Newsom can't steer California straight, he has no business steering the country. That's it for today's video. If you found this breakdown insightful, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more sharp commentary. Thanks for watching, we'll see you in the next one.